Mic check. Peas and carrots, pamplemousse. Hi, I'm Ashley Daigle, and this is Advice from the Cheerbrarian. Never heard that word before? That's because I smushed two words together, because I felt like it. This week we're going to do what we always do, mix a dollop of advice to improve your life, born from a few of my successes and a boatload of my mistakes, with the book recommendation of the week, unearthed by my voracious love of reading, from self-help to historical fiction and everything in between. This week, I'm here to talk about how you can battle through a slump. You know, that thing where your brain is extra mean and you cry for no reason and have trouble getting anything done and everything is the worst. And I'm speaking from personal and recent experience. If you like what you hear, and I really hope you do, please, pretty please, with 2 cherries on top, tell 2 people about this podcast and send them a link to an episode you enjoyed, because direct word of mouth is huge for a little pod like mine. And now, let's get into it. Last week, I published a rebroadcast episode, and I did not want to do that. I had a plan to do something else, and I was excited about it, and then when it came right down to it, I couldn't. Like, I could, but I couldn't. You know what I mean? That brain noise last week was loud. I just thought that I was terrible, and that I was bad at everything, and nothing I did mattered. And I could not get out of space. And look, I know stuff to do, right? I do a podcast where I talk about, here's how to talk to your brain, and here's what to do when you don't feel good. And guess what? It didn't work. I tried. I had a long conversation with my best friend who basically disputed everything that I said. And it was like, listening to him, it was like I was like outside of my body. He was just like, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that. Here's actually the truth. Here's the things you're telling yourself. And I was like, It was like bouncing off of me, like rubber glue, whatever it was you say, words bouncing, sticks and stones, something, you get it. But anyway, it did very little. Like, it helped a little bit in the moment, but then I just kind of sunk back down into the murky mud of my slump. Tried going for a walk, tried leaving my house to have a meal and go to a new place. And like, in the moment when I did those things, like when I was actively talking to the friend or going for the walk or had left and was like, going somewhere, in those moments, I felt better. And then when I came back to having to do the things, nope. I continued to try and fail and lament why I felt this way, because I was like, you don't really have any real problems. Like, the things you are dealing with, you have your health, you have your friends, like, what is your problem? And I just, would cry and then feel bad that I cried and then cry about feeling bad that I cried. It was just like this whole snake eating its tail sort of thing. It was just a heck of a grumpy week. I will say I got into a book that gave me some moments of levity, and I'll talk more about this in the back half in the Unrequired Reading. But Oliver Burkeman's new book, Meditations for Mortals, 4 Weeks to Embrace Your Limitations and Make Time for What Counts, that helped me in the moment. And then it was like I read it and was like, oh yeah, that's really great. And then would close it and just like sink right back again. And there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of guilt about not being able to sort of be better and being a bad human, essentially, is kind of the story I was telling myself over and over again. You're no good, and that's all I would believe for last week. But over the weekend, something happened. I stopped trying to fix it. And for me, on the weekends, it's like, well, that's, I don't put as much pressure on myself. So I wasn't pressuring myself to do all of the things because it's the weekend. So that helped. But I really took a moment and said, you know what? I think part of my problem is I keep looking at the clock. Every day I'm looking at the clock and I make a list of things to do. And it's often too many things that I could really practically do in a day. But that's what I do. And so this weekend I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make any lists. I'm not going to look at the clock. I'm just going to kind of do whatever I'm doing and focus on just kind of being present and not about, oh, I have to get the laundry done. I have to get this done, meal prep and whatever. Like, I really had some time to think and said, what's the worst thing that happens if you don't do your laundry? I don't know, you still have clothes. Like maybe it's not that serious. Like I sort of force myself to realize, to take time to understand that like all these things, it's not that serious. So I stopped looking at the clock, and anytime I would like look at my watch and be like, oh, it's 2 p.m. What have you done? I was like, no, remember, we're not doing that. We're not looking at the clock. We're just gonna kind of do what we're doing, and it's gonna take how long it takes. I also stopped scrolling social media because that is the thing that I do when I'm trying to hide the shame that I have for, what I would call action paralysis. It's just, again, it just kind of, it's a cycle where I feel bad I'm not doing things. So then I look at my phone, and then I feel bad I'm on the phone, and then it just kind of keeps, and guess what? I am in a better place this week. I'm excited to share that with you. So the question is, did I fix it? Like when I was trying to do these little things, did those small actions have a cumulative effect? And this week I'm in a better place? Maybe. I don't know. Or, and I hate if this is true, was it just that time fixed it? And like, no matter what I did, last week was going to be kind of bleh, and it was going to be kind of grumpy, and I could have, not fixed it. And so me stressing out about not being able to fix it was futile. Like if that's true, if that's just how it was, I just hate that, right? Like I'm somebody who tells people when they're having a hard time, listen, sometimes you have to feel sad and you have to go through it and it takes time and blah, blah, blah. And I feel really good when I tell this to other people. But when I am trying to tell myself that, I'm like, well, that's stupid. I have no actual problems. My problems are stupid and I should not be in a bad mood. But guess what? That's literally not how anything works. And like the other question I have to ask myself is, if I had stopped forcing it sooner, if, Tuesday or Wednesday, I said, look, you're not in a place, you're not really getting stuff done. Let's mix it up. Let's do something relaxing. Let's, not keep obsessing over the clock and watching the minutes pass and the productivity not happen. Would that have helped it? I think maybe so. So the lesson I've learned for the future is to take the advice that I give other people all the time, which is sometimes you have to be in it and you can't fix your way or even cheer your way out of it. Sometimes it's just going to be that sort of mood. So if you find yourself in a slump, maybe you're in one right now, or I'm sure, unfortunately, if you're not now, sometime in the future, because that's how life goes, right? I encourage you, and I should probably re-listen to this episode all the time, to give yourself grace. And remember, this too shall pass. When you're in that place, I know it's easy to think, well, I'm never going to feel better again. I'm never going to be able to be as productive as I feel like I can again. Like this is just who I'm destined to be forever. But guess what? I'm here to tell you it's not true. And also try the things that typically work for you. Go for a walk, talk with a friend, whatever your go-to, the things you have in your toolkit that can make you feel better. Try them, because your brain's going to tell you, like, it doesn't matter if you go for a walk, it's not going to help. But that may not be true. So there's a phrase I learned from the book, Alexi Pappas's book, Bravey, that I think about all the time, which is first your actions change? No, wait. I'm going to get it. Hold on. So it's first your actions change. Yeah. Then your thoughts, then your feelings. So you may just still be feeling like garbage and you can't change the feelings first. I knew that. I read the book. I've given that advice. But what I was trying to do last week was change my feelings before I change my actions, before I change my thoughts. So try changing those actions and hopefully maybe you'll have better luck getting ahead of it. And most importantly, stop trying to fix it. Stop hiding from it. Stop feeling like you have to solve it. Acknowledge that you're having a hard time. Tell those around you, like, I did that and it did help. I told friends, I was like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I can't get out of my way this week. And people were like, oh, that's really tough. I've had that happen. Like, that did help. So reach out. Don't feel like you're the only one who is having this situation, because you're not. And talking to somebody usually will help. And look, I know, like, I'm feeling great today and that's good, but I will be here again because life is a mix of ups and downs. So for next time, I want to expand my toolkit. I want more things that I can try. So I want to know what you do, or of course, what you read when you are in a slump, because I'd love to give it a try because you're smart and I want to see what you got to offer. So hit me up on any of the social medias and tell me because I want to know. And so, of course, next up, I'm going to share what I was reading that did bring me some lightness and joy in the dark. Okay, so now we are getting into unrequired reading, and I'm going to talk about two books that I was reading last week when I was in the slumpity slumps and how they helped and why you should read them. So the first book, and I had to write this down because it's a great book. I keep trying to recommend it to people, but I can't remember the title because there's a lot of words in it and I keep mixing them up. So the title is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I'm going to repeat it so that maybe it'll stick in my brain. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. So it is a cozy, light, warm, fun fantasy. So I actually picked up this book before I was in the slump period because I was looking for something light to read because I had two like heavy books that I've been like in for a moment. And so I was like, I need something fun. And I don't remember if someone recommended it to me. I might have just seen it at the library and I was like, this looks like a cutie patootie book. And I was right. So what's it about? So Mika Moon is a witch in Britain, and she is one who chafes against the rules of the society that she takes part in. So she and other witches in Britain, they meet only once a year, always in a different location, and they live in secret because gathering together is considered dangerous. It's a very lonely life. She does, however, have an online persona where she like is a witch, but it's like she's pretending that it's like she's being a witch. She knows she's a real witch, but like she's doing it as if it's just her online persona, right? And she doesn't think anybody's going to think anything of it until a mysterious offer for her to travel to a secret location to teach 3 young witches appears, which could change everything. So someone has watched her and said, I'd love you to come over here and do some witching. And she's like, these people have figured I'm a witch. So will she find the family she so desperately longs for? What other secrets are they hiding? You'll need to read it. I saw a review for this book that said that somebody said they thought this book had like House on the Cerulean Sea vibes, which is a big, great, amazing book by It's not big, just like big, successful. But anyway, it is a wonderful book by TJ Klune. So if you like that book, you might like this one. So they both have orphans, they both have humor, they both have a romance, but the protagonist of this one is a woman, whereas the other one is a dude. So if you need something to perk you up, check it out. And then the other book I'm going to talk about, I mentioned already, is Meditations for Mortals, 4 Weeks to Embrace Your Limitations and Make Time for What Counts by Oliver Burkeman. Now, I previously read his 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals, which was like a really wonderful book. And so someone's like, Oliver Burkeman has a new, I was like, sold, I'm going to get it. And I love meditation. So I thought this was like him teaching meditation. It's not that at all. So there are 28 short chapters and they are meant to be read daily as a month-long, in his words, retreat of the mind. So each day there's like 3 or 4 pages that you read and it gives you something to ponder. So I have it right here. So like I haven't read the one for today, but for example, today's is titled, if I can open the book, okay, today's is titled, Develop a Taste for Problems on Never Reaching the Trouble-Free Phase. Wow. So again, you know, when I was in the middle, it wasn't like, oh, I read the book and then I felt better and then I got out of that slump, right? But it did give me some moments of levity. And so what have I learned so far? So here are some takeaways. Number 1, he brought up the concept, and I've seen this other places, but the way he phrases everything is so beautiful. He talks about doing things daily-ish. So instead of trying to say, every day I'm going to XYZ, the goal and the expectation you can set for yourself is to do things daily-ish, because that is more resilient than trying to be hardlined about having a daily routine. It's more achievable, right? And then the other concept he talked about was go to the shed. So this is about, and this did help me, sort of process and begin to plan into this week. It talks about, when you're having a tough time, when you are just obsessing and you're anxious about things that you need to do, how can you sort of push past all those fears and take action? So the concept of go to the shed, he literally gives the example of like, cleaning out a shed, cleaning out a garage, right? It's there, it's a mess, you know it's there, and you just can't get started. So step one is go to the shed. You just go in, you look at it, you sort of say, yep, this is the stuff here. Because sometimes physically confronting and looking at the thing, like it's not always as bad as you think it is once you're looking at it. So doing this with other activities, it's about like visualizing taking action on something. So you can even just sit there and think about what it would be like to take action. And it helps you to begin to accept on an emotional level that like the situation is already a part of your reality, no matter how much you wish it weren't. And so I did this morning. Like, I was feeling better when I woke up, but I was like, am I going to be able to get stuff done? And like, I came into this room where I do my stuff and just sort of put myself there before I even made a plan of like which thing I was going to do first. And I just started doing things because putting myself there and being in, my work shed, I don't know, was like a great step one. So anyway, that book will hopefully be as insightful and inspirational to you as it has been for me. And that is about all we're doing this week. I love a little recap because life is busy and I want you to have something to take with you. So what the heck did we do today? In this episode, I got into the slump that kicked me around and shared what I learned from being in that zone. I talked about what did not work, forcing it, and what did, giving it time. So next time you're in a slump, remember that it's okay. We all have lows, but the highs will come around again. And I would love to hear your tips for getting out of a slump. Message me on social media for what you do or what you read. In Unrequired Reading, I recommended The Cozy and Light, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna when you need a lift, and Oliver Burkeman's Meditation for Mortals, 4 weeks to embrace your limitations and make time for what counts, which contains daily bite-sized morsels for pondering. And please, follow and review wherever you pod, and join the Cheerberry on Instagram or Facebook by following me at the @Cheerberryan handle. That's where you can see resource links and other goodies, and talk to me, which I would love. Now go on, get out of here, ignore the clock, drink more water. Okay, bye!